Hi moms, thank you so much for joining me. Super excited to talk about this. This is one of those behaviors that Charlie had that was so alarming to me. And it was the behavior of making animal sounds, barking sounds, and other mouth noises. And as many of you know, Charlie at a very young age was diagnosed with PDD-NOS, which is like not otherwise specified. It's kind of like autism light, for lack of a better term. Um, he had a lot of ADHD behaviors. He had Tourette's-like behaviors. And so when he was about, I think, four-ish, is when I noticed a lot of things that were Tourette's-like. And one of them was the mouth sounds. And so I used to kind of talk myself out of it by thinking like, well, he loves animals, he loves dogs. So the fact that he barks like a dog is just because that's when he gets excited and he does that. But I knew in my gut like it was not right, and it really was alarming. And we'd be in public, and he would just have to be like woo woo, or like really loud though, or barking all the time, making sounds. But he had so many other problems and so many other behaviors that it wasn't as if every day I was like, I wish we could just make these barking sounds and all these sounds go away. At that time, I was just really praying, like, could we just get him calmer so I could take him in public or something? But fast forward, when he was 5 years old, was the first time that of all the practitioners that we had been to, was the first time that this functional nurse practitioner told me about really and made me understand about diet. And she explained to me about yeast, and it explained about the inflammation of the brain. And she fed me a lot of information that at the time I really couldn't take everything in, but I took in enough and walked away with enough that I would start to do a few things. And then I'd stumble and stumble and stumble and then figure it out again. And at one point we put him on a 21-day regimen of diflucan, which is an antifungal, because she was trying to explain to me that it sounded like he also had a case of leaky gut. And again, at the time, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Why would a gut disorder cause ADHD and autism-like behaviors and Tourette's? Like, none of it made sense to me. But because he was also really sick all the time, he was always congested, coughing, sinus infections, stomach aches. He was always sick. That I thought, listen, if somebody wants me to try something, I'm going to try it. So what I want to tell you is that within a week of trying the antifungal, it was amazing that so many behaviors all of a sudden fell away. I will tell you that first week he was off the wall, and I didn't even associate it with the antifungal medication. I just figured we were just having a really bad week. And then I remember on day 8 how he wanted to go to the library, which was crazy for him to even ask that in a sentence. And then he stayed, we typically could go for like 30 seconds, and he stayed and watched an entire movie, Smurfs 2, I remember. And then afterwards he, wait, I'm taking a sip of this. This is so good. Oh my gosh, pumpkin spice latte. Oh my gosh, so good. I paid an armload for that. Anyway, so but after the movie, he then came out and wanted to use the puppets, and he put a puppet on each hand. He was doing pretend play, imaginative play, which was amazing too, because Charlie never did imaginative play. So it was over the next few days, it was the absence of all the sounds. I'm like, oh my gosh, he doesn't bark. He doesn't make those whoop whoop and all these sounds that he used to do. And so we got to it was a 21-day course of therapy, and he finished that, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, he's healed. And very slowly he was regressing, and certain behaviors were coming back, including that. At the time too, he was doing something called echolalia, which I didn't really know much about. I just started to see it around age 5, which was he would repeat the last sentence of, like, if I read him a book or something, he always had to repeat the last sentence. Anyway, a number of alarming things were happening. So we clean up his diet, we do the diflucan, and then I say to myself, well, wait a second, there's got to be something to this anti-yeast thing and this leaky gut idea if he all of a sudden was talking complete sentences and could watch a movie and did imaginative play. I mean, and he didn't regress all the way back to where he was. He just took a few steps back. And so that's when I had a lot of strength, confidence, and courage to move forward with anything that had to do with the idea of removing inflammation from his brain, because I got a glimpse of what Charlie could be like. And so I share all that with you because as I kept going and cleaning him up on his diet, we don't have any noises. None. Like it's not even part of my world. And every once in a while, I would say, I don't know, once every few weeks, once a month, all of a sudden I'll hear him go, woohoo, like, but he'll do it in a different way. And it still makes my back go up. And I look right at him. I go, what are you doing? And he'll literally be like, Mom, relax. I'm excited. It's so funny that those old fears will kind of crop up in that moment when he does that. So I just wanted to share with you that we never even expected that that was going to be alleviated when we did this anti-yeast program, and then subsequently went on a kind of like a strict diet. And then that all evolved and I learned how to just lighten the load completely on his system and give him real foods and remove those triggers, the gluten, the dairy, preservatives, refined sugars, and dyes. And I go lighter on the corn with him. I did do something where I pulled out salicylates, but I realized, and you can look more into salicylates, and I'll do another video on that as well. You may have heard of the Fine Gold diet, but some children do really well when you pull out those salicylates. For him, and like dyes are a form of salicylate. Some preservatives are salicylates, but there are many more salicylates that you could pull out. They are both natural and man-made. So anyway, different video for that. But the point is that when he got cleaner, I realized like, okay, that is decreasing the inflammation in the brain. And that is why, the sentences started forming and the imaginative play and the behaviors fell away and he no longer barked like a dog. So I just want you to know, when I say barking like a dog, I mean barking like a dog and doing everything else you can imagine along with that. So I just want to offer that to you in case that's something that you're going through. There is so much hope for you and so much healing is on the way for your child. You got this.